Hello. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome back to the Story Corner. We're glad to have you here. And we're going to be reading, I think it's chapter 26, probably 27. I should probably look ahead, but I always read and get done and rush off to put children to bed and do other stuff. And then when it's time to read, I'm in the middle of dishes and cleaning up and a million other things. And I come running in here looking like a mess. So I'm not reading ahead or on top or knowing even what's coming up. I just jump in here and get it done and head back out. So I'm a little unresearched, I guess would be the word. So 26, I believe, chapter 26 and 27, maybe 28, depending on if they're super short. Before we get started, I always like to ask, just for fun, for ideas, what did you have for dinner? We had stuffed chicken. So I did chicken tenders and I stuffed them with, I made a mixture of cream cheese and spinach and bacon and Parmesan cheese and green onions and seasonings and stuffed them and baked them, drizzled with oil and Parmesan. And it was good. It was really good. And then I made a pasta salad, but it was the most unusual. It was really random. Kind of making it up, but it was so good. So I did the kind of pasta salad, with mayonnaise and mustard, but I did penne noodles. And then I did carrot shredded, like grated quite fine. So carrots and celery and broccoli and fresh tomatoes and artichoke hearts and cheese, green onions. Is that everything that was it? And mustard and mayonnaise and seasonings, garlic and stuff. But it was so good. Holy cow. I'm going to write it down because I'm going to be making that again. It was really yummy. And then we just had pears and cottage cheese for dessert. Fresh pears. It was so good. Anyway, so that was nice. It was yummy. And then before we get started, again, I'll show off some of the things that I've made for fun. Doing a little shameless self-promotion of my store. My online store is linked in the bio, and I do make tons and tons of beautiful handmade jewelry, home decor, tons of stuff. Most of what I've been showing off mostly is jewelry stuff, but I have a ton of other stuff. So start with these earrings. These are leaf-shaped earrings, kind of in the fall colors, so orange and yellow and red. They're kind of cute. They're soft, and pretty colors, sparkly. And then these, I like these because they're puzzle pieces, and I love puzzles. But puzzle pieces is also it's like one of the symbols for autism. Like people who have autistic children will lots of times wear the T-shirts with the puzzle pieces on them and stuff. So I've sold quite a few of these to people who work with autistic children or parents who have autistic children. I'm like, oh, did you know? And I'm like, yeah, I did know that. And then also for people like me who love jigsaw puzzles. So these little puzzle piece earrings are kind of, because they're clear, they're hard to see against my skin, but they're shaped like the puzzle pieces. They're really pretty, kind of lavendery and pink, and yeah, they're really, really cute. Very dangly. They're on a kind of a long I should do this side where the light is so you can see it, but they dangle, quite long down the neck. And then a super sparkly, kind of purpley pink necklace. Oops. It's a heart, and you can, if I can get the lighting right, you can see the little kind of swirl detail on. Oh, I can't get it. Can't get the light to hit it right, but it has a swirl detail on top. It's so bad. My lighting and my camera, they're just so not good. But yeah, really cute. Super sparkly, kind of purpley pink. So that's about, the size it is up against your skin. So my goodness, this is terrible. You can't even see hardly, but yeah, about like that. So really cute. Close to the same size of the one I'm wearing, and I made that one too. So, okay, showing off my cute stuff. Talked about what we had for dinner. Now we're going to get started, Evelina. So we just read chapter 25, and that was a really short one. It's the Reverend who sent a woman, Mrs. Clinton, I guess, to come and get her. And the letter he sent her was with Mrs. Clinton. So he said, I can't wait till you're here. So this next letter is letter 26, and this is Evelina to Miss Mervyn. So now, instead of writing to Mr. Villers, these, because now she's back with him, these letters are going to be to Maria, her friend Maria at Berry Hill, or from Berry Hill to Howard Grove. So Berry Hill, July 14th. My sweet Maria will be much surprised, and I am willing to flatter myself concerned when, instead of her friend, she receives this letter, this cold, this inanimate letter, which will but ill express the feelings of the heart which indites it. When I wrote to you last Friday, I was in hourly expectation of seeing Mrs. Clinton, with whom I intended to have set out for Howard Grove. Mrs. Clinton came, but my plan was necessarily altered, for she brought me a letter, the sweetest that ever was penned from the best and kindest friend that ever orphan was blessed with, requiring my immediate attendance at Berry Hill. I obeyed, and pardon me if I own I obeyed without reluctance after so long a separation. Should I not else have been the most ungrateful of mortals? And yet, oh Maria, though I wished to leave London, the gratification of my wish afforded me no happiness, and though I felt an impatience inexpressible to return hither, no words, no language can explain the heaviness of heart with which I made the journey. I believe you would hardly have known me. Indeed, I hardly know myself. Perhaps had I first seen you, in your kind and sympathizing bosom, I might have ventured to have reposed every secret of my soul. And then, but let me pursue my journal. Mrs. Clinton delivered Madame Duval a letter from Mr. Villers, which requested her leave for my return, and indeed it was very readily accorded. Yet, when she found, by my willingness to quit town, that Monsieur Dubois was really indifferent to me, she somewhat softened in my favour, and declared that, but for punishing his folly in thinking of such a child, she would not have consented to my being again buried in the country. All the Branghtons called to take leave of me, but I will not write a word more about them. Indeed, I cannot, with any patience, think of that family, to whose forwardness and impertinence is owing all the uneasiness I at this moment suffer. So great was the depression of my spirits upon the road, that it was with difficulty I could persuade the worthy Mrs. Clinton I was not ill. But alas, the situation of my mind was such as would have rendered any more bodily pain, by comparison, even enviable. And yet, when we arrived at Berry Hill, when the chaise stopped at this place, how did my heart throb with joy! And when, through the window, I beheld the dearest, the most venerable of men, with uplifted hands, returning, as I doubt not, thanks for my safe arrival. Good God! I thought it would have burst my bosom. I opened the chaise door myself. I flew, for my feet did not seem to touch the ground, into the parlour. He had risen to meet me, but the moment I appeared, he sunk into his chair, uttering with a deep sigh, though his face burned with delight, My God, I thank thee. I sprung forward, and with a pleasure that bordered upon agony, I embraced his knees, I kissed his hands, I wept over them, but could not speak, while he, now raising his eyes in thankfulness toward heaven, now bowing down his revered head and folding me in his arms, could scarce articulate the blessings with which his kind and benevolent heart overflowed. Oh, Miss Mervyn, to be so beloved by the best of men, should I not be happy? Should I have one with say should I have one wish save that of meriting his goodness? Yet think me not ungrateful. Indeed I am not, although the internal sadness of my mind unfits me at present for enjoying as I ought the bounties of Providence. I cannot journalize, cannot arrange my ideas into order. How little has situation to do with happiness! I had flattered myself that, when restored to Berry Hill, I should be restored to tranquillity, for far otherwise have I found it, for never yet had tranquillity and Evelina so little intercourse. I blush for what I have written. Can you, Maria, forgive me my gravity, but I restrain it so much and so painfully in the presence of Mr. Villers that I know not how to deny myself the consolation of indulging it to you. Adieu, my dear Miss Mervyn. Yet one thing I must add. Do not let the seriousness of this letter deceive you. Do not impute to a wrong cause the melancholy I confess by supposing that the heart of your friend mourns a too great susceptibility. No, indeed. Believe me, it never was, never can be, more assuredly her own than at this moment. So witness in all truth your affectionate Evelina. So she's saying, don't think that I lost my heart and I'm broken-hearted. My heart is still mine. You will make my excuses to the honoured Lady Howard and to your dear mother. Letter 27, Evelina in continuation, Berry Hill, July 21st. What day was that last one? July 14th, so this is a week later. You accuse me of mystery and charge me with reserve. I cannot doubt but I must have merited the accusation. Yet to clear myself, you know not how painful will be the task. But I cannot resist your kind entreaties. Indeed, I do not wish to resist them, for your friendship and affection will soothe my chagrin. Had it arisen from any other cause, not a moment would I have deferred the communication you ask. But as it is, I would, were it possible, not only conceal it from all the world, but endeavour to disbelieve it myself. Yet since I must tell you, why trifle with your impatience? I know not how to come to the point. 20 times have I attempted it in vain, but I will force myself to proceed. Oh, Miss Mervyn, could you ever have believed that one who seemed formed as a pattern for his fellow creatures, as a model of perfection, one whose elegance surpassed all description? Can you guess who she's talking about? Yeah, Whose sweetness of manners disgraced all comparison. Oh, Oh, Miss Mervyn, could you ever have believed that Lord Orville would have treated me with indignity? Never again will I trust to appearances, never confide in my own weak judgment, never believe that person to be good who seems to be amiable. What cruel maxims are we taught by a knowledge of the world? But while my own reflections absorb me, I forget you are still in suspense. I had just finished the last letter when I wrote to you from London, when the maid of the house brought me a note. It was given to her, she said, by a footman who told her he would call the next day for an answer. This note, but let it speak for itself. To Miss Anville. With transport, most charming of thy sex, did I read the letter with which you yesterday morning favoured me. I am sorry the affair of the carriage should have given you any concern, but I am highly flattered by the anxiety you express so kindly. Believe me, my lovely girl, I am truly sensible of the honour of your good opinion, and feel myself deeply penetrated with love and gratitude. The correspondence you have so sweetly commenced, I shall be proud of continuing, and I hope the strong sense I have of the favour you do me will prevent your withdrawing it. Assure yourself that I desire nothing more ardently than to pour forth my thanks at your feet and to offer those vows which so justly the tribute of your charms and accomplishments. In your next, I entreat you to acquaint me how long you shall remain in town. The servant whom I shall commission to call for an answer has orders to ride post with it to me. My impatience for his arrival will be very great, though inferior to that wish which I burn to tell you in person, how much I am, my sweet girl, your grateful admirer, Lord Orville. Wow. So he's very forward and, oh, thanks for writing. I guess, now I can just kind of be a jerk and treat you like an object when he's always been so sweet to her and so respectful. What a letter! How has my proud heart swelled every line I have copied! What I wrote to him you know. Tell me then, my dear friend, do you think it merited such an answer, and that I have deservedly incurred the liberty he has taken? That's my baby pounding on the door. What are you doing? Hi, Pumpkin. Hello. Yeah. Are you gonna come say hi? Hi. Oh, I love you. I meant nothing but a simple apology, which I thought as much due to my own character as to his. Yet by the construction he seems to have put upon it, should you not have imagined it contained the avowal of sentiments which might indeed have provoked his contempt? The moment the letter was delivered to me, I retired to my own room to read it, and so eager was my first perusal that, I am ashamed to own, it gave me no sensation but of delight. Unsuspicious of any impropriety from Lord Orville, I perceived not immediately the impertinence it implied. I only marked the expression of his own regard, and I was so much surprised that I was unable for some time to compose myself or read it again. I could only walk up and down the room, repeating to myself, "Good heaven, is it possible? Am I then loved by Lord Orville?" But this dream was soon over, and I woke to far different feelings. Upon a second reading, I thought, where did I go? I thought every word changed. It did not seem the same letter. I could not find one sentence that I could not look at without blushing. My astonishment was extreme, and it was succeeded by the utmost indignation. If, as I am very ready to acknowledge, I erred in writing to Lord Orville, was it for him to punish the error? If he was offended, could he not have been silent? If he thought my letter ill-judged, should he not have pitied my ignorance, have considered my youth, and allowed for my inexperience? Oh, Maria, how have I been deceived in this man? Words have no power to tell the high opinion I had of him. To that was owing the unfortunate solicitude which prompted my writing, a solicitude I must for ever repent. Yet perhaps I have rather reason to rejoice than to grieve, since this affair has shown me his real disposition, and removed that partiality which, covering his every imperfection, left only his virtues and good qualities exposed to view. Had the deception continued much longer, had my mind received any additional prejudice in his favour, who knows whether my mistaken ideas might have led me? Indeed, I fear I was in greater danger than I apprehended, or can now think of without trembling. For, oh, if this weak heart of mine had been penetrated with too deep an impression of his merit, my peace and happiness had been lost for ever. I would fain encourage more cheerful thoughts, fain drive from my mind the melancholy that has taken possession of it. But I cannot succeed, for adding to the humiliating feelings which so powerfully oppress me, I have yet another cause of concern. Alas, my dear Maria, I have broken the tranquillity of the best of men. I have never had the courage to show him this cruel letter. I could not bear to so greatly to depreciate in his opinion one whom I had with infinite anxiety raised in it myself. So she can't stand to. She's been telling him how wonderful Lord Orville was, and now she can't stand to let him know that he was very rude and disrespectful and impertinent to her. Are you better? Indeed, my first determination was to confine my chagrin totally to my own bosom, but your friendly enquiries have drawn it from me, and now I wish I had made no concealment from the beginning, since I know not how to account for a gravity which not all my endeavours can entirely hide or suppress. So she can't hide from him how distressed she is over the whole thing and having thought so highly of him, and then for him to treat her so bad. So she's quite depressed. She's really sad and hurt, and she can't hide it. So she can tell that Mr. Villers is really worried about her. But she doesn't know how to tell him now because it's been so long. My greatest apprehension is lest he should imagine that my residence in London has given me a distaste to the country. Everybody I see takes notice of my being altered and looking pale and ill. I should be very indifferent to all such observations did I not perceive that they draw upon me the eyes of Mr. Villers, which glisten with affectionate concern. This morning, in speaking of my London expedition, he mentioned Lord Orville. I felt so much disturbed that I would instantly have changed the subject, but he would not allow me, and very unexpectedly he began his panegyric, extolling in strong terms his manly and honourable behaviour in regard to the Maybourne adventure. My cheeks glowed with indignation. Every word he spoke, so lately as I had myself fancied him the noblest of his sex. Now that I was so well convinced of my mistake, I could not bear to hear his undeserved praises uttered by one so really good, so unsuspecting, so pure of heart. Wet, wet, wet. You just want to make a big fat mess. I love you. What he thought of my silence and uneasiness I fear to know, but I hope he will mention the subject no more. I will not, however, with ungrateful indolence give way to a sadness which I find infectious to him who merits the most cheerful exertions of my spirits. I am thankful that he has forborne to probe my wound, and I will endeavor to heal it by the consciousness that I have not deserved the indignity I have received. Yet I cannot but lament to find myself in a world so deceitful, where we must suspect what we see, distrust what we hear, and doubt even what we feel. Letter 28, Evelina in continuation. Those were both kind of short. Well, let me see. I was going to just go ahead and read it, but let me see how long it is. It's not right on. I'll just read 28 too. Berry Hill, July 29th. I must own myself somewhat distressed how to answer your raillery, yet believe me, my dear Maria, your suggestions are those of fancy, not of truth. I am unconscious of the weakness you suspect, yet to dispel your doubts, I will animate myself more than ever to conquer my chagrin and to recover my spirits. Oh, what's he doing? What's he doing? What's he doing? What? What are you doing? Oh, I love you so much. You want this one? You wonder, you say, since my heart takes no part in this affair, why it should make me so unhappy. So apparently Mariah wrote to her and was like, yeah, right, you didn't fall in love with him. Why are you so distressed or discouraged if you don't have feelings for him? And can you, acquainted as you are with the high opinion I entertained of Lord Orville, can you wonder that so grave a disappointment in his character should affect me? Indeed, had so strange a letter been sent to me from anybody, it could not have failed shocking me. How much more sensibly then must I feel such an affront when received from the man in the world I had imagined least capable of giving it? You are glad I make no reply. Assure yourself, my dear friend, had this letter been the most respectful that could be written, the clandestine air given to it by his proposal of sending his servant for my answer, instead of having it directed to his house, would effectually have prevented my writing. Indeed, I have an aversion the most sincere to all mysteries, all private actions. However foolishly and blamably in regard to this letter, I have deviated from the open path which, from my earliest infancy, I was taught to tread. He talks of my having commenced... He talks of my having commenced a correspondence with him, and could Lord Orville indeed believe I had such a design? Believe me so forward, so bold, so strangely ridiculous? I know not if his man called or not, but I rejoice that I quitted London before he came, and without leaving any message for him. What indeed could I have said? It would have been a condescension very unmerited to have taken the least notice of such a letter. Never shall I cease to wonder how he could write it. Oh, Maria, what could induce him so causelessly to wound and affront one who would sooner have died than wilfully offended him? How mortifying a freedom of style, how cruel an implication conveyed by his thanks and expressions of gratitude! Is it not astonishing that any man can appear so modest who is so vain? Every hour I regret the secrecy I have observed with my beloved Mr. Villiers. I know not what bewitched me, but I felt at first a repugnance to publishing this affair that I could not surmount, and now I am ashamed of confessing that I have anything to confess. Yet I deserve to be punished for the false delicacy which occasioned my silence, since if Lord Orville himself was contented to forfeit his character, was it for me, almost at an expense of my own, to support it? Yet I believe I should be very easy, now the first shock is over, and now that I see the whole affair, with the resentment it merits. Did not all my good friends in this neighbourhood, who think me extremely altered, tease me about my gravity, and torment Mr. Villiers with observations upon my dejection and falling away? The subject is no sooner started than a deep gloom overspreads his venerable countenance, and he looks at me with a tenderness so melancholy that I know not how to endure the consciousness of exciting it. Mrs. Selwyn, A lady of large fortune who lives about 3 miles from Berry Hill, and who has always honoured me with very distinguishing marks of regard, is going in a short time to Bristol, and has proposed to Mr. Villars to take me with her, for the recovery of my health. He seemed very much distressed whether to consent or refuse, but I, without any hesitation, warmly opposed the scheme, protesting my health could nowhere be better than in this pure air. He had the goodness to thank me for this readiness to stay with him. But he is all goodness. Oh, that it were in my power to be, indeed, what in the kindness of his heart he has called me, the comfort of his age, and solace of his infirmities. Never do I wish to be again separated from him. If here I am grave, elsewhere I should be unhappy. In his presence, with very little exertion, all the cheerfulness of my disposition seems ready to return. The benevolence of his countenance reanimates, the harmony of his temper composes, the purity of his character edifies me. I owe to him everything, and far from finding my debt of gratitude a weight, the first pride, first pleasure of my life is the recollection of the obligations conferred upon me by a goodness so unequaled. That's so sweet. It's so sweet to me how grateful she is and how much she loves him for caring so much about her and taking such good care of her. And it's so sweet to me how protective he is of her and how much he loves her and just wants to take away all the pain in the world, which, when you love people, that's what you wish you could do. And of course, it's not always the best thing. Everybody has to have experiences to grow, but it's such a sweet relationship as this orphan girl and this man who's been through so much. It makes my heart smile. It's so cute. Once, indeed, I thought there existed another, who then time had wintered o'er his locks, would have shone forth among his fellow creatures with the same brightness of worth which dignifies my honoured Mr. Villars. So she's saying she used to think that Lord Orville would be a lot like Mr. Villars when he gets older. He's the only man she's ever found that she thinks can compare. And now she's devastated because she thought he was wonderful, and he's not. He's kind of a jerk. A brightness, how superior in value to that which results from mere quickness of parts, wit, or imagination. A brightness which, not contented with merely diffusing smiles and gaining admiration from the sallies of the spirits, reflects a real and glorious lustre upon all mankind. Oh, how great was my error! How ill did I judge! How cruelly have I been deceived! I will not go to Bristol, though Mrs. Selwyn is very urgent with me, but I desire not to see any more of the world. The few months I have already passed in it have sufficed to give me a disgust even to its name. I hope, too, I shall see Lord Orville no more, accustomed from my first knowledge of him to regard him as being superior to his race. His presence, perhaps, might banish my resentment, and I might forget his ill conduct. For, oh, Maria, I should not know how to see Lord Orville and to think of displeasure. As a sister, I loved him. I could have entrusted him with every thought of my heart, had he deigned to wish my confidence. So steady did I think his honour, so feminine his delicacy, and so amiable his nature. I have 1,000 times imagined that the whole study of his life and whole purport of his reflections tended solely to the good and happiness of others. But I will talk, write, think of him no more. Adieu, my friend. Okay. 3 chapters. That's it for today. We'll pick up tomorrow on chapter 29. And we're actually getting very good. I better get the Anna Green Gables ordered because there's another volume. Oh, so I guess there's only another letter or 2. So there's 2 more letters. So tomorrow I'll probably finish volume 2. And then there's volume 3. And how many letters does volume 3 have? It has 23. So there's like 25 more letters, which means probably only, if I do 2 at a time or even 3, that means I only have a week or so left. I better get the Anne of Green Gables stuff ordered because that's next. I haven't ordered them yet. I better get on that because when this is done, I want to read that. We're going to get started right into that one, so that's going to be fun. Okay, so that's it for today, and we will pick up tomorrow, and probably I'm pretty sure finish volume 2. So then we'll be in the 3rd volume, the final volume, the last 23 letters. Was it 23? Yeah. Anyway, thank you for stopping by the Story Corner for story time with the Story Lady. That's me. And we'll see you next time. And oh, don't forget to like the video. Like, a like is free, right? Doesn't cost anything. And it helps. It makes a difference every time you like it. It tells YouTube that people do enjoy the content. They don't recommend it. Like, it won't show up in anybody's feed if nobody leaves likes on it, because they're like, oh, nobody likes this content. But if you leave likes on it, everybody who watches it leaves a like. They'll be like, oh, maybe other people would like this. And then they start recommending it. And you can actually grow your channel and, make money, which would be awesome. That's not why I'm doing it, but hey, it would be a nice bonus, right? I mean, really why I'm here is because I'm 2,000 miles away from all my grown children. We used to read together every night. I miss them 1,000 times a day. And this is how I stay connected with my sweethearts in one of the ways. I love you all so much. Mwah. Good night.